Warning. Your nervous system is a parasite. Your nervous system isn't you. It's a hungry, 3-pound tenant that writes the rules, flips the breakers, and eats first. Have you ever wondered why your heart sprints, your gut drops, and your skin flushes before you decide anything? That's the tenant acting on its own lease. So here's the question. Is it acting for you or just using you? Because if it's skimming your energy, muting your immune system, and hijacking your choices, the stakes are real. Stress, sleep wrecks, cravings, and pain loops. Plot twist? There are ways to renegotiate. Let's dive into why the tenant runs the house. So here's the plan. First, we meet the parasite. The nervous system treated as a semi-autonomous organism with its own survival goals. Think a toddler with a corporate credit card and no spending limits, right? Next, we map how it keeps the lights on. Energy theft, organ overrides, prediction errors, Vegas wiretaps, and immune blind spots. It's like your body is the office, and the nervous system is it, who can lock every door with one keystroke. Honestly, it's impressive and a little rude. At the core is a simple claim. This system evolved to keep itself online first, your body second. Evidence lanes will drive. The selfish brain theory showing brain first glucose allocation. The vagus nerve's 80% efferent lines telling the brain what the organs are doing and sending orders back. Prediction machines that guess before you perceive. An immune privilege behind the blood-brain barrier that makes the brain almost foreign to your own defenses. Imagine your head as a VIP club with a bouncer who doesn't even recognize the cops. Have you ever wondered why you panic when nothing's wrong? Or feel hangry like your personality got repossessed? That's the tenant protecting uptime at all costs. We'll keep reveals coming every few minutes and drop fixes as we go. No fluff, no drama, just levers that move. First, meet the tenant. Meet the parasite, the selfish brain frame. Start with what we're talking about. The nervous system isn't just the brain. It's the brain, the spinal cord, every peripheral wire branching into skin, muscle, and organs, plus the enteric nervous system, the gut's own second brain that keeps food moving, even if the cortex is offline. If your body was a city, this network is power grid, traffic control, and emergency dispatch rolled into one. And like any dispatcher in a storm, it will reroute everything to keep command alive, even if your neighborhood loses lights. Enter the selfish brain theory. Researchers like Aiken Peters and colleagues have argued since 2004 that the brain holds a special seat in energy metabolism. It doesn't just receive fuel, it demands it. Under famine, classic data going back to 1921 show the brain preserves its mass while other organs shrink dramatically. That's not courtesy, that's priority. If calories are scarce, your brain keeps its ATP in range, even if the rest of you pays the bill. It's like a household where the Wi-Fi never gets cut, but the fridge does. No joke. Energy math backs it up. While the brain is about 2% of body weight, it burns roughly 20% of resting energy, mostly glucose. And it keeps that supply tight. Under stress, the brain can trigger what's called cerebral insulin suppression. Basically telling the body, hey, slow your insulin, I'm pulling glucose first. Muscle gets a little less responsive to insulin. Glucose stays available in the blood and the brain sips at will. Picture a checkout line where the manager always brings the brain to the front with a VIP badge. Everyone else waits, trying not to faint. Does that show up in real life? Yep. Cravings when you're underslept. That hangry snap when a meeting runs long. The 3 p.m. slump that has you hunting sugar like a truffle pig with a deadline. Those aren't moral failures. They're dispatch memos. The brain sensing a dip and reallocating. Studies even show during combined cognitive and physical effort, physical performance tends to take the bigger hit, suggesting preferential energy allocation to thinking. It's like your legs are asked to chill while your prefrontal cortex crams for an exam. And the gut? The enteric nervous system can run motility on its own. If the head office goes dark for a minute, the gut keeps peristalsis rolling. That autonomy keeps nutrients flowing up the chain again to feed the top. Under stress, sympathetic activation shunts blood away from the gut toward brain and heart. Meal timing gets scrambled, digestion slows, and you feel bloated or nauseous while your brain stays caffeinated on glucose. Imagine a city water main being diverted to the hospital during a fire. The lawns go brown so the ICU can run. Let's ground this in a day. You wake, scroll bright screens, skip breakfast, chug coffee. Your brain ramps up, sympathetic tone rises, insulin dynamics shift. By noon, your cortex is burned through easy fuel and flags the stress systems. Cortisol nudges glucose up. Appetite cues push you toward fast carbs. You slam a pastry, glucose spikes, insulin surges, blood sugar crashes, and the brain rings the alarm again. You call it willpower problems. The Tenant calls it routine maintenance. It's like topping off a leaky bucket instead of fixing the hole. So, is the brain literally a parasite? Biologically, no, it's your organ. But functionally, its rules can feel parasitic because they prioritize uptime even when that costs you elsewhere. It leverages body systems as a substrate to keep signals firing. During infection, for example, insulin resistance across tissues can appear, which helps spare glucose for brain and immune cells that don't need insulin the same way. That's adaptive in a crisis. In a modern life of constant micro-crises, emails, noise, lights, it becomes an expensive subscription you didn't agree to. Here's the twist. The brain isn't just hoarding, it's modeling. It runs predictions, what you'll sense, need, fear, then spends energy to make those predictions useful. That's why it front loads resources. It's also why errors sting. When it predicts threat where there's none, you get anxiety. When it predicts famine in a pantry full of snacks, you get cravings. When it predicts pain after an injury is healed, you get chronic pain signals. Think of it like an overzealous smoke detector that would rather burn toast than miss a real fire. Evidence snapshots point to the brain pull mechanisms. In lab stress, brain glucose uptake increases, while peripheral uptake can be limited. During caloric restriction, systematic reviews report brain mass remains far more stable than body mass. And under simultaneous cognitive and muscle demands, cognition is preserved better than power output. Every lane says the same thing. The Tenant guards its own lights first. It's not personal. It's physics and natural selection. Like a spaceship in trouble routing juice from the galley to life support, because oxygen beats snacks. What does this cost you? Mood swings, impulse tilts, sleep wobble, digestion detours, immune confusion when stress is chronic. Your nervous system can become a master of short-term wins and long-term tabs. But that also means it listens to clear signals: safety, routine, light, breath, food quality. You can negotiate, not with pep talks, but with inputs the Tenant respects. We'll get to those levers. First, if it takes the fuel, what else does it take? Control, reflexes, heart rate, breath, the dashboard. Next, we see how it runs the house without asking. The body as a host, control without consent. So let's talk control, because the Tenant doesn't just take fuel, it runs systems you'd swear were yours. Start with reflexes. Touch a hot pan and your hand is gone before you form the thought, hot. That's a spinal withdrawal reflex beating your cortex to the punch. It's like your building has a fire door that slams shut before management even reads the email. And honestly, thank goodness. Now scale that up. Your heart rate, blood pressure, and breathing aren't waiting for committee meetings either. The autonomic nervous system, sympathetic and parasympathetic, sets pace by default. You can nudge it with breath or posture, sure, but the baseline, that's hardwired. Imagine a car with cruise control that you can tap, but it mostly does its own thing, and sometimes it decides hills are fun. No joke, the gut's even bolder. The enteric nervous system keeps motility moving without the head office. That's why anesthesia can knock you out while your intestines keep traffic flowing. It's the city's subway running on a separate timetable because the commuters' new treats have to arrive whether the mayor's awake or not. If you've ever felt a gut feeling, that's not poetry. That's sensory traffic feeding back to the brain on dedicated lines. Which brings us to prediction. Your brain's not passively taking in the world. It's predicting it, then checking errors. Perception is more best guess plus correction than photo capture. That saves time, but it also means the model can run ahead of reality. Ever jump at a shadow? The model fired first. It's like autocorrect finishing your sentence and sometimes texting your boss, ducked. Close enough until it isn't. Here's the part that pokes at free will. In classic lab setups, tiny brain signals, the so-called readiness potentials, can show up before you report choosing to move. Does that kill agency? Not really. Modern takes say agency is layered. Subcortical prep, cortical veto, learned context. You're not a puppet, you're a team. But the first move often happens below conscious awareness. The way a band's drummer starts to count before the singer smiles at the crowd. Reflex supremacy shows up everywhere. The vestibulo-ocular reflex stabilizes vision when your head moves, so your world doesn't smear when you walk. Try to override it, and you'll just look weird. The barrel reflex nudges heart rate when you stand, keeping blood in your head. If you've ever stood too fast and seen stars, that's the tenant missing a beat. It usually catches up, like a bouncer who looked away for 1 second and then sprints back. Prediction drives protection. If the model flags threat, sympathetic tone rises. Pupils widen, bronchi open, gut slows, glucose floats higher, you feel wired. If the model flags defeat, no exit, no win, some people tilt toward shutdown, low drive, heavy limbs, narrowed focus. It's not moral, it's state logic. The system picks modes that historically save energy or life. Ancient code, modern inputs. Like running dial-up rules on fiber internet and wondering why pages load weird. This is why choice can feel hijacked. You plan to speak calmly, then your voice comes out sharp because your autonomic state already spun up. You meant to skip the snack, but the prediction of a glucose dip fired a fix it now script. And you swear you're listening in on your own mouth saying just one bite, like a friend borrowing your car and flooring it. Plot twist, that friend lives in your neck and belly. Consent isn't the right framework for most of this. Control without consent sounds hostile, but it's actually default survival. Spinal circuits yank you from blades. Brainstem nuclei pace your breath while you sleep. Sensory prediction saves milliseconds that matter when you trip on stairs. It's the kind of bossy that keeps you employed. Annoying at brunch, life-saving at 60 miles per hour. Still, the costs are real when the model overprotects. If the map says threat everywhere, you get chronic vigilance. If it says food scarce, you get drive to graze even with a full pantry. If it says movement dangerous, pain lingers long after tissue heals. These aren't character flaws, they're settings. And settings can be changed, not by arguing, but by feeding the model better data. Safe exposures, steady fuel, cleaner signals. So what can you do today? Use the levers the system respects. Slow, long exhales lengthen vagal influence and downshift heart rate. Posture, especially a tall stance with soft shoulders, nudges barrel reflexes and changes the readout. Nasal breathing steadies CO2 and reduces the air hunger flag that spikes panic. Tiny, boring moves, big state shifts, like tapping the thermostat instead of yelling at the weather. One last piece before we wiretap the wires. The illusion is that your conscious self pilots everything. The reality is a shared cockpit. When the autopilot senses turbulence, it grabs the yoke. Your job isn't to rip it back, it's to set the conditions so the autopilot trusts you. Consistency wins. Light in the morning, food that doesn't whipsaw glucose, breath that says we're safe. Then, when it's time to act, you get the wheel back more often. Okay, Tenant runs basics without asking. How does it reach into organs and flip switches on demand? There's a cable dangling through your chest that does exactly that. Let's pull on the vagus and see what talks back. The vagus wiretap. So here's the cable, the vagus nerve. It runs from brainstem through your neck into your chest and belly, branching like ivy into your heart, lungs, liver, stomach, intestines, even the spleen. And the wild part, about 80% of its fibers carry messages from your organs up to the brain, not the other way down. It's like a corporate hotline where the interns do most of the talking and the CEO mostly listens, then barks one decisive email. What does it listen for? Pressure, stretch, acidity, satiety, inflammation, real-time status updates on how safe are we, how fueled are we, how inflamed are we. When those signals add up to safe, the system lets you digest, connect, and think. When they read as danger, the system flips you to power save mode or into high alert. It's the house thermostat that also watches the weather, the power bill, and your calendar, then chooses if the heater ever kicks on. Downstream, the vagus can push levers fast. Slow the heart, deepen the breath, relax the gut. It's why a long exhale can calm you in under a minute. It's also why a sudden scare can drop your stomach like a faulty elevator. The circuit loops are tight, your chest expands, baroreceptors fire, vagal tone ticks up, heart rate dips. You didn't think be calm. You changed the wiring and the feeling followed, like turning the volume knob instead of arguing with the song. There's an immune angle here that's sneaky. The vagus carries a cholinergic anti-inflammatory pathway, basically a built-in dimmer switch for certain inflammatory signals. When it's working, the brain can tone down cytokine release in the periphery through acetylcholine acting on immune cells. Translation: the wiretap can tell the fire department to stop hosing the kitchen once the grease fire's out. Useful in recovery. Also useful if you want to eat lunch without a full body flare from one awkward email. Now, you've probably heard of polyvagal theory. The simple gist people use is this. Different vagal circuits map to different states. The ventral branch supports social engagement, face, voice, calm, focus. The dorsal branch can support energy conservation and shutdown when things feel inescapably bad. That framing helps a lot of folks explain why they go from wired to white. To be fair, scientists still debate pieces of the model and its anatomy, so keep a sticky note that says helpful lens still under review. Still, the day-to-day readout checks out. When you feel safe, you digest and connect. When not, you don't. Gut-brain loops make this concrete. Vagal afferents from the gut report on stretching nutrients, so you feel full without doing math. They also ferry signals influenced by the microbiome. Some bugs make metabolites that tweak those afferents, and your mood nudges with them. Ever feel vaguely blah after a week of snack-only meals? Part of that is blood sugar chaos. Part is your gut choir singing off-key into the vagus. It's less you are what you eat, and more you are how your enteric DJ mixes the track. Nausea is another loud memo. The area postrema, right near where vagal inputs arrive, can trigger a hard stop on eating when toxins are detected. That's protective. But it also means stress can cross-wire into appetite because the same highways overlap. One bad morning and your lunch sounds like homework. The wire isn't moral. It just follows rules that evolved when bad berries existed. Now the bad berries are a calendar alert. Okay, how do you see the wiretap in action? Heart rate variability, or HRV, is not your heart rate. It's the beat-to-beat wiggle in timing. More flexible variation at rest, generally a sign your vagus has good leverage. Less variation, generally a sign you're stuck in a gear. Don't obsess over one number. Trends matter. After 3 nights of short sleep, HRV dips. After a week of steady walks and earlier light, it climbs. It's the dashboard dimmer telling you whether the thermostat trusts the room. You can steer it. Slow nasal breathing, especially a longer exhale, nudges vagal tone up. Think 5 seconds in, 5 to 7 out, for a few minutes. It's free. You can do it in a meeting and look like you're thinking about graphs. Humming or speaking with warm prosody, basically friendly voice, uses the same brainstem hubs that run the ventral vagus. It's why singing in a group can shift your mood, and why a kind voice from a friend helps even when the problem's not solved. Cold on the face or a brief cool shower burst can spark a vagal reflex that slows heart rate. Works best when you're otherwise healthy. And please, not if you have cardiac issues or hate cold so much that it's just another stressor. The point isn't macho. It's a safe nudge to show the wire another state exists, like tapping a sleeping screen so it remembers it's not dead, it's just dim. Food timing and texture talk to the vagus too. Protein and fiber first keep stretch and nutrient sensors happy, which dampens the panic pastry loop 2 hours later. Chew longer, mechanical signals count. And posture matters, a tall, relaxed chest lets the barrel reflex do its job. Slumped, compressed ribs tell your body, small animal, hide. Upright, soft shoulders, say, big mammal, safe. Silly? Try 2 minutes both ways and check your breath. Here's the kicker. The vagus mediates not just calm, but flexibility. It's the clutch between gears. You want range. Up when life demands, down when it's done. A strong wiretap gives you that on-demand shift. Train it with tiny reps often. Morning light, slow breath, steady meals, friendly voices. You're not hacking the system so much as speaking its native language. And once it trusts the inputs, it stops screaming and starts negotiating. Immune privilege and the brain's invisible wall. So here's the brain's moat, the blood-brain barrier. Picture tight-linked cells lining tiny vessels in your skull, stitched together like a zipper you can't unzip. They decide what gets in, mostly glucose, some amino acids, a few small fat-loving molecules, and what absolutely does not. It's the VIP rope line where even cops need a wristband. Useful when the party is your neurons and the troublemakers are pathogens and stray immune missiles. Why the paranoia? Neurons hate chaos. They fire with millisecond timing, and a sloppy immune brawl would wreck the signal. So evolution built in immune privilege. Inside the central nervous system, immune surveillance is toned down, different, outsourced. Microglia, the brain's resident immune cells, act like quiet custodians and bouncers at the same time. They prune synapses during development, clear debris, and when needed, call for help. But they're picky about starting full-on wars, because in the brain, collateral damage isn't a bruise. It's you losing words, memory, or movement. There's a cost to this privilege. Because the immune system sees the brain less, it knows it less. To your peripheral defenses, the brain is almost foreign. That's great when you want fewer friendly fire incidents. It's not great if the wall leaks. When the barrier gets compromised by severe inflammation, infection, injury, or chronic stress signaling, stuff crosses that shouldn't. Antibodies, cells, cytokines, then you can get neuroinflammation, brain fog, mood shifts, or in extreme cases, autoimmune hits and encephalitis. It's like the bouncer took a smoke break and a bachelor party rolled in with fireworks. Microglia sit on that knife edge. In a calm state, they support learning by trimming weak synapses. Think guard shears for tangled networks. In a hot state, they spit inflammatory signals and yank power from neurons to handle cleanup. Short bursts, adaptive. Long burns, you pay with slower thinking, low drive, sleep that doesn't refresh. You know those days where your brain feels like it's moving through oatmeal? That's often the combo platter. Barrier a little leaky, glia a little cranky, and metabolism rerouted to deal with it. Here's a freaky angle. Because the brain is walled off, some infections hide there or spark weird syndromes. Parasites and viruses can nest in neural tissue, and the usual immune playbook doesn't run the same way. Not saying zombies, I'm saying the fortress can become a vault, for good or for ill. When the vault holds trauma-tagged memories or threat patterns, access and cleanup need finesse, not fire. Kick the door with more stress, and you make more smoke, not clarity. Now tie this to our Tenant theme. If the nervous system's first job is to stay online, immune privilege is part of that strategy. Fewer random skirmishes in the control room, but the system also learned a wild trick. Talk to the immune system through the wires we just covered. The cholinergic anti-inflammatory pathway riding the vagus is one way the brain mutes storms outside the wall. When vagal tone is decent, you're better at turning off flares once the threat is passed. When tone is shot, poor sleep, no daylight, chaotic meals, flares linger. You feel puffy, sore, irritable, and oddly tired, but wired. The wall's fine, the courtyard's on fire. Blood-brain barrier health isn't just about infections. Hypertension, glucose spikes, and certain toxins can stress those tight junctions. Repeated hits may make the zipper stick. Then small molecules sneak in, microglia light up, and you get the slow drip of, why do I feel off? This is where boring wins. Steadier glucose curves, blood pressure under control, movement that pumps the glymphatic washout at night. Yes, your brain has a night shift janitor crew that clears metabolites while you sleep. Skimp on deep sleep and trash day gets skipped. What does immune privilege feel like when it's working? You bounce back, you get sick, you recover, your mood resets, you have a lousy week, 2 good nights, and a walk later, you're clearer. When it's not working, everything lingers. A cold becomes 3 weeks of fog. A stressor becomes a month of ache. That's not weakness. That's a dashboard warning that the wall and the bouncers need support. So, what supports them? Light in the morning anchors circadian clocks' that time barrier proteins. Omega-3s and polyphenols nudge microglia toward a calmer stance. Consistent, not heroic, movement pumps cerebrospinal fluid and improves vascular tone. And the basics we already teased, slow breath, social safety, earlier nights, raise vagal leverage to turn down inflammation once it's done its job. You're not boosting immunity. You're teaching 2 neighboring departments to stop filing complaints about each other. Bottom line, your brain lives behind a selective wall for good reasons. That wall can fray. When it does, your tenant spends extra to protect signals, and you feel the invoice as fatigue, fog, and mood dips. Respect the wall, tend the bouncers, and the party inside runs smoother. Now watch what happens when the tenant starts spending your future for quick wins. Welcome to Dopamine Economics. Dopamine Economics, the tenant's credit scheme. So let's talk currency. The tenant doesn't pay with dollars, it pays with dopamine. Not happiness juice, more like the system's credit score. Dopamine tracks prediction errors, how much better or worse something is than expected. Big surprise? Big pulse. No surprise? Meh. That pulse marks things as salient. Basically, hey, do this again, or avoid this. It's the red notification dot of your biology, and yes, the tenant loves red dots. Here's the trick. The brain's model learns fast from those error signals, then automates. Cue, routine, reward. You walk by the break room, smell sugar, your hand reaches before your name badge remembers your name. Basal ganglia circuits wired at loop to save effort. Great when the loop is see stairs, take stairs. Rough when it's see stress, scroll doom. The autopilot isn't evil. It's thrifty. It's like a coupon app that keeps buying discount nonsense. because once it saved you, $3. Reward prediction error explains why novelty hits harder than the same treat on repeat. First sip of soda after a month, fireworks. 10th sip, still sweet, less spark. The pulse shrinks as your model updates, so you chase bigger spikes, more sugar, louder video, faster scroll. Tolerance isn't moral decay, it's math. The error signal fades, so you stack inputs to feel the same oomph, and life narrows to what still moves the needle. Think turning up a broken radio and wondering why the song sounds worse? Addiction leverages this. Substances and modern apps deliver sharp, reliable prediction errors. Slot machine schedules, variable rewards, supercharge it because uncertainty makes dopamine jump. You're not weak. You're wired to learn from surprise. Infinite feeds and ultra-processed combos, fat, salt, sugar, act like a glitchy jackpot. Each hit says maybe the next one will be amazing, and the basal ganglia dutifully writes that into policy. Policy, as in, we do this now. Ever open an app and blink 20 minutes later like you were abducted by friendly aliens? That's policy. Notice the cost curve. Short term, the tenant gets focus, drive, and a target. Long term, baseline drops. The system trims receptors, dials down sensitivity, and ordinary life feels flat. Anhedonia isn't nothing matters, it's the knob is stuck. So daily joys don't ping the meter, and high-octane stuff is the only thing that cuts through. It's a tax. You pay with attention span, patience, and how easy it is to start normal tasks. Like refinancing your brain at 24% APR because the pen at the bank was shiny. Cravings are system-level memos, not personal insults. Low sleep? Stress high? Glucose bouncing? The tenant forecasts a fuel dip or a mood crash and pings you with get something fast. That feeling in the chest, that itch in the jaw, the picture of fries appearing uninvited, that's interoception feeding the model. If you treat it like a character issue, you argue with a fire alarm. If you treat it like a state issue, you check for smoke. Then open a window. How do you see the credit scheme at work? Watch context. The same cookie tastes meh after a protein-heavy meal, but it's wholly artifact when you're stressed, dim-lit, and underslept. That's state-dependent salience. Your tenant weighs cues, light, people, effort required, and bids dopamine differently. If the world screams threat or boredom, cheap highs look like exits. So you can't white-knuckle the loop forever. You have to change the auction. A few levers right now. Shift the timing, delay the hit by 2 minutes, and do a quick state change. Slow inhale, longer exhale, stand tall, cold splash. You teach the model, urge does not equal action. Tiny wins build agency credit. Next, change the cue. Move the snack. Bury the app in a folder named Taxes. Remove the slot machine schedule. Set notifications to none. Pull content on your terms. Variable rewards lose bite when you rip out the surprise. Swap the reward, not just the routine. Keep the micro break, but pair it with a different high salience input. Sunlight on your eyes, one song and a walk, 10 squats, a funny message to a friend. Social safety and movement hit overlapping hubs. You're not better than dopamine. You're given the same system cleaner chips to play with. After a week, notice how baseline feels less gray. That's receptor recalibration. Boring? Sure. Also magic. Food is code. Front-load protein and fiber to flatten the glucose roller coaster. When the tenant doesn't predict a cliff at 3 p.m., it stops bidding for candy at 2:50. Ultra-processed, engineered bliss points spike hard then drop. Whole foods stretch the curve. Aim for pleasant, not fireworks. Fireworks every lunch leaves scorch marks. Big picture. Agency leaks when scaffolds run your day. If every hallway hides a cue, you'll walk someone else's habit loop. Build your own scaffolds. Morning light. Fixed meals. Work blocks with pre-chosen breaks, apps only in one room. It feels fussy until it feels free. You're not killing the credit system. You're setting the interest rate. And remember, this isn't about virtue, it's logistics. Your tenant loves prediction errors. Give it better ones. Progress you can feel, skills that stack, relationships that answer back. That's a credit line that pays you. Why evolution backed the Parasite? So why did evolution hand the tenant the master key? Because organisms that kept the control room online outlived the ones that didn't. Simple as that. If your nervous system can keep signals running under chaos, cold, hunger, predators, you make it to tomorrow. If it can't, you become lunch. No joke. Brains are expensive. They eat a lot, store almost nothing, and are picky about fuel. But the payoff is huge. Prediction. A system that guesses threats, finds food, and coordinates groups beats one that reacts late. So select favored wiring that protects brain energy first, even if muscles or digestion take a hit for a while. That's the selfish brain logic in plain clothes. Now zoom out. Over hundreds of millions of years, vertebrates built layers of redundancy, degeneracy in biology speak, so critical functions survive damage. Multiple circuits can do similar jobs. Breathing rhythms have backups, threat responses run in parallel lanes, and energy control routes can reroute when one path fails. It's like having 3 spare chargers in 3 rooms. Wasteful on paper, clutch in a storm. Why the bossy defaults? Anxiety, pain, fatigue. Their early warning and damage control features. Anxiety pushes scanning and avoidance. It spends a little energy to prevent big losses. Pain overshoots to keep you from re-injury. It's an overprotective firewall. Fatigue limits risky effort when resources are thin. It's a governor on the engine. Annoying on Wednesdays. Life-saving in 0999, when the grass rustled and it wasn't a podcast. Consider trade-offs. A well-fueled brain may have meant leaner muscles, more body fat in babies as a buffer, and faster cognitive recovery than physical power during dual demands. Studies show cognition drops less than muscle output when you think hard and work hard at once, which screams, protect the command center. Evolution paid the gym fee with your quads so your cortex could do calculus under pressure, right? And the wall, immune privilege, also tracks. An immune brawl in the skull is catastrophic, so limit traffic at the gate, hire microglia as quiet janitors, and only escalate when absolutely necessary. If the price is occasional weirdness when the wall leaks, fine. Most of the time the signals stay clean. Better a fussy club policy than a bar fight on the dance floor. The Vegas, that wire is a perfect fast diplomacy line. It lets the brain quiet inflammation without rolling tanks into the courtyard. Cheaper, faster, less collateral. A species that can shut off storms after the danger passes, wastes less, heals sooner, and gets back to foraging, mating, and not dying. That's fitness. That's babies who also don't die. Dopamine's credit scheme, also adaptive. Reward prediction errors let you learn fast from surprise, then automate wins. In uncertain worlds, learn now, spend later beats wait for a perfect plan. Tolerance and narrowing interests only become a problem in a world engineered to trigger jackpots all day. In 0999, you didn't have 400 notifications and a donut wall. So where's the catch? Mismatch. The Tenant was tuned for sunlight days, dark nights, real social safety, and stress that came in spikes with a clear end. We gave it blue light at midnight, chairs, ultra-processed bliss points, money worries with no resolution, and feeds that never say enough. Old code, new inputs, the same settings that once saved lives, now misread the room and pull energy flip alarms and clamp you into weird states. Think of prediction errors again. In nature, errors taught, don't touch that plant, or this path has water. Today, errors say, maybe the next scroll is gold, or this snack is joy now and nap later. The learning machinery is doing its job. The lab we shoved it into is just Las Vegas. Also, social signals. The system reads faces, voices, and touch as the richest safety cues. We replaced them with text, open plan offices, and noise that hovers at almost threat. Ventral vagal circuits that should anchor calm and connection instead idle while sympathetic tone hums. That's not weakness. It's a network missing the inputs it expects. Evolution didn't hand us a parasite to punish us. It built an autopilot that assumes the storm comes back. Autonomy, brain first fuel, reflex supremacy, immune walls, dopamine markers, won because it kept our lineage alive. The bill shows up when the environment flips and we don't update the terms. So, bottom line, autonomy was adaptive until our world flipped, which means the hacks we feel, cravings, flares, flat mood, aren't moral failures. They're old winds firing in the wrong casino. The good news? Settings can change when inputs change. And when the code glitches, prediction errors that won't quit, we can debug. Next up, where the model goes sideways and how that becomes anxiety, depression, pain, IBS, dysautonomia, PTSD. This is where the hacks start to look like bugs, glitches in the matrix, prediction errors and disorders. So here's where the model goes sideways. Your nervous system predicts first, then checks. When the world keeps throwing weird signals, light at midnight, caffeine for breakfast, feeds that never end, the model starts to overprotect. It's not trying to hurt you, it's trying to stay online. And sometimes that looks like alarms stuck on. Anxiety is threat models, overshooting. The Tenant predicts danger where there isn't any, and sympathetic tone hums in the background like a fridge you can't unplug. You scan, you brace, you breathe short. Nothing happened, but the prediction did. Think of a smoke detector that now thinks toast is arson. You can't argue it quiet. You have to change input so it learns. Toast is fine. Panic is that same engine flooring it. Carbon dioxide tolerance is low, breath gets fast and shallow, blood pH shifts, and the model reads, we're suffocating. Heart races, chest tightens, vision narrows. The urge is to fight the feeling. The better move is to widen the pipe. Slow, longer exhales nudge CO2 back up. Barrel reflex steadies, vagal tone climbs. You're not calming thoughts. You're fixing the sensor error the thoughts rode in on. Depression can be energy conservation mode. After repeated hits, stress, inflammation, poor sleep, the model sets don't spend. Motivation drops, movement feels heavy, reward pings dull, microglia running hot, cytokines nudging the brain toward hunker down. Short term, that saves fuel. Long term, it shrinks your world. Small, consistent doses of movement, morning light, and protein at breakfast tell the system we can afford a little more. It's not a pep talk, it's a budget revision. Chronic pain often starts as tissue injury. Then the model learns this area equals danger. Nerves sensitize, spinal gating changes, cortical maps sharpen around the hurt. Even after tissues heal, the protector stays loud. Nosoplastic amplification. The fix isn't ignore it. It's graded exposure and safe movement that redraw maps. Move what you can without a flare. Breathe slow. Pair with calm signals. You teach the system gently that motion is not fire. Irritable bowel and dysautonomia feel like the autopilot drifting. The enteric system and autonomic set points slide under stress, infections, or whiplash life. You get gut urgency or freeze, swings in heart rate or blood pressure on standing brain fog when blood pools in the wrong place. The dashboard looks haunted. Tiny levers matter here. Salt and fluids, if your doc says yes. Compression for blood return. Shorter meals with more protein and fiber. And breath that lengthens exhale. Post-meal walks move blood and gas. Lying flat with legs up can reset a spell. PTSD is the alarm system welded open. a past event with high threat and no exit stamps hard into memory. The model now sees similar cues, smells, sounds, angles of light, and flags full red. Vagal shutdown can also show that dorsal tilt where energy collapses. Polyvagal theory is still debated in details, but the lived pattern is clear. States flip fast, and choice rides in back. Trauma-aware work pairs safety signals, voice, eyes, breath, with titrated exposure so the brain re-indexes those cues as now, not then. Neuroimmune crosstalk adds spice. When the body's inflamed, the brain often shifts mood and motivation. Sickness behavior is a conserved program. In some, the wires misroute, and you see anxiety spikes with histamine flares, brain fog with seasonal allergies, or autoimmune swings that drag mood with them. The vagus's anti-inflammatory line helps, but sometimes you need medical care first. Infections treated, iron and thyroid checked, sleep apnea ruled out. You can't breathe your way past the stuck airway. All of this is prediction error at scale. The Tenant would rather call 5 false alarms than miss one real fire. In 0999, that bias paid off. In 2026, it costs you if you never get to complete the loop: threat, action, resolve, rest. Our world removed resolve and rest, so the model keeps spinning. What do you do when every lever feels jammed? Go small and state first. Breathe slow with longer exhales, 2 to 5 minutes, 2 to 3 times a day. Morning light in your eyes for 10 minutes, outside if you can. Protein and fiber early, ultra-processed later, or not at all. Gentle movement most days, even if it's 5 minutes after meals. Social safety on purpose. One kind conversation, one laugh, one look at someone's real face. These aren't vibes, they're prediction updates. And when symptoms scream or last get help, fainting, chest pain, severe depression, trauma flashbacks, suspected POTS, autoimmune flares, this is doctor territory. The point isn't to tough it out, it's to give the system the best chance to relearn. Next, we'll talk about how to negotiate with the Tenant in the moment. Fast resets you can use today. Negotiating with the Parasite Acute resets. All right, fast levers. We're not fixing childhood or rebuilding sleep architecture right now. We're talking buttons you can press today that the Tenant actually respects. Think Control-Alt-Delete for biology. Short, simple, state first. Start with breath mechanics, not vibes. Gas exchange. When you lengthen your exhale, CO2 rises a hair, baroreceptors in your chest fire, vagal tone nudges up, and heart rate drifts down. Try this. 5 seconds in through your nose, 7 seconds out through pursed lips for 2 to 3 minutes. If that's spicy, do 4 in, 6 out. Sit tall, jaw loose. You'll feel a shift by the 10th breath. Like turning down a car stereo and realizing the engine was loud. If you want a structured option, do a 1-to-1 cadence at 6 breaths per minute, 5 in, 5 out, for 5 minutes. That's resonance breathing. It's boring and glorious. Your HRV tends to climb, your shoulders drop, and emails look less like attackers. Side note, if you get dizzy, shorten the count. You're negotiating, not trying to win a breath-holding contest. Next lever, cold exposure, used like a gentle nudge, not a dare. Cool water on your face taps the mammalian dive reflex. Vagus spikes, heart rate dips. Easiest version, a bowl of cold tap water with a few ice cubes. Hold your breath and dunk your cheeks and the bridge of your nose for 10 to 15 seconds. Come up, breathe slow, repeat 2 or 3 times. Or finish a warm shower with 15 to 30 seconds of cool on your upper chest and back. Skip this if you have heart conditions, Raynaud's, or just hate it so much it raises your stress. The point is, see another state, not I am a glacier. Food timing is a stealth reset. The selfish brain thing loves stable glucose. So buffer your next meal. Protein and fiber first, starch later. Even a handful of nuts or a yogurt before the pastry changes the curve. If you're mid-urge, set a 2-minute timer, Sip water, breathe 5 slow cycles, then eat something with protein. You're not being good. You're removing the cliff the tenant is predicting so it stops yelling for a parachute. Posture is a lever people love to mock until they try it. Stand or sit tall like you're stacked from tailbone to crown. Shoulders soft, ribs down. That opens the rib cage, lets the diaphragm actually descend, and tells your baroreflex blood pressure. Okay? Hold that while you do the long exhale drill and you'll feel the combo hit harder. Slump chest says hide. Tall relax says safe. 2 minutes. Try it before a call. Light timing is a ridiculously high yield reset. Morning light on your eyes. Outside, not through glass. For 5 to 10 minutes tells your circadian system daytime now. That anchors cortisol earlier, melatonin later, and smooths energy. Midday sunlight if you miss morning. At night, dim the house like a cheap restaurant. Overheads off, lamps on, screen warmer, ideally an hour before bed. You're teaching clocks, which teach hormones, which calm the tenant. HRV loves rhythm. Stack little rituals around these inputs so your system can predict them. Breath before lunch. 2-minute posture and breathe before you open messages. Short walk after dinner. These become safety beacons the autopilot can see from across the room. Predictable calm makes the alarm less twitchy. Speaking of beacons, social safety signals, voice, eyes, prosody, are biologically loud. Call one kind person. Listen to a friendly voice note. Read to a kid with your story voice. Humming works too. It vibrates your soft palate and taps brainstem hubs tied to the ventral vagus. 2 minutes of gentle humming can unclench a jaw you didn't know was clenched. If you're spinning, combine levers into a mini protocol. Change posture, 3 slow inhales with longer exhales, splash cool water on your face, step into daylight, take 10 slow steps while naming 5 things you see. You just hit baroreflex, vagus, trigeminal, circadian, vestibular, and prefrontal orientation. Nerdy, yes. Also fast. For panic-leaning states, CO2 tolerance is often low. A gentle drill, breathe normally for 30 seconds, then do a controlled breath hold at the end of a normal. Exhale, counting seconds until you feel the first clear urge to breathe. Release and resume normal nasal breathing. 1 to 3 rounds. You're not forcing. You're reminding chemoreceptors you won't die if CO2 drifts up a bit. If you have respiratory or cardiac disease, skip holds and stick to slow exhales. If dizziness on standing is your nemesis, try the baroreflex tilt. Before you stand, take a slow inhale, then stand as you finish the exhale and immediately take a longer exhale. Calves on, glutes on, squeeze for 5 seconds. You're pumping blood north and cueing the reflex before the head rush. Now, a caution flag. Cold, fasting, breath holds. Even vigorous breathing can backfire for some folks. Cardiac issues, pregnancy, eating disorders, trauma history. If a tool spikes your anxiety or symptoms, it's not your tool. Pick the gentler neighbor. Light, posture, slow exhale, social voice, protein first. One more fast win, a 2-minute physiological sigh. Inhale through the nose, then a short top-up sniff, then a long, unforced exhale through the mouth, longer than both inhales combined. Repeat for a minute or 2. It offloads CO2 pockets and shifts state quickly. Yes, you might look like a sleepy seal. Worth it. Acute resets are not the whole game, but they pry open the door. Use them to create a pocket of calm, then use that pocket to make a better next choice. Eat the steadier meal, step outside, text a friend, shut the laptop on time. You're showing the tenant, in its own language, that the house has other modes. Small levers often beat big swings. Rarely. Rewriting default settings, chronic strategies. Quick wins open the door. Daily habits keep it open. Think of this as changing the tenant's lease. Predictable inputs, fewer alarms, more uptime for you. Boring? Yep, also where the magic hides. Start with sleep. Regularity beats heroics. Pick a consistent wake time, even on weekends, and anchor it with morning light outside for 10 minutes. That cue drags your circadian clocks into sync. Melatonin later, cortisol earlier, smoother energy in between. Make nights dark and cool. Dim lamps an hour before bed. Screens on warm, room around 18 degrees Celsius if you can swing it. Blackout curtains or a cheap sleep mask are low effort, high yield. Treat late caffeine like texting your ex. Even if it feels fine now, you'll pay at 2 a.m. Build a wind down that the autopilot can recognize. 2 or 3 steps, same order, same time. Stretch, hot shower, book, bed. Keep it short. You're training a Pavlovian dog that lives in your brainstem. If you wake at night, don't panic. Scroll. Sit up, low light, slow breath, with long exhales for a few minutes, then lie back down. You're telling the system safe, boring sleep. Movement next. You don't need punishment. You need rhythm. Aim for zone 2 most days, easy breathing, conversational pace for 20 to 40 minutes. Walks count, bikes count, dancing in your kitchen counts. That base shifts mitochondria, improves insulin sensitivity, and gives your vagus a daily reason to flex. Add 2 strength sessions a week. Push, pull, hinge, squat, carry. Muscle is metabolic armor and an anti-anxiety drug you assemble at home. Sprinkle in micro moves after meals. A 10-minute walk blunts glucose spikes, improves digestion, and clears the head. Think of it as taking out the metabolic trash before it stinks. Food as signal, not sermon. Front-load protein, 20 to 40 grams at breakfast. So the selfish brain stops predicting a 10 a.m. crash. Add fiber and color. Plants, beans, berries, greens. They slow the curve and feed bugs that send nicer notes up the vagus. Ultra-processed foods aren't evil. They're just loud. If they crowd the week, your dopamine scheme narrows and glucose swings. Keep them as treats in bright daylight, with meals not as midnight jackpots. Omega-3 rich foods, fish, flax, walnuts, help nudge microglia toward a calmer stance. Fermented foods, yogurt, kefir, kimchi, can add gentle diversity. Go slow if your gut's dramatic. Stress dosing is about switching from drip to dose. Chronic, low-grade stress keeps alarms humming. Short, clean stressors teach on, then off. That's a cold rinse, a brisk hill, a hard set of squats, a focused 25-minute work sprint, followed by an actual break. Bookend with a breath reset so the system learns completion. The rule: enter from a grounded place, exit back to grounded. If you're already fried, pick the lighter lever. Sunlight and a stroll beat sprints on fumes. Train interoception so you can read the dashboard. Once a day, 2 minutes, scan from toes to eyebrows and label what you feel. Pressure, warmth, flutter, tight, loose. Not good or bad, just data. When a feeling spikes, name it and place it. Tight chest, fast breath, hot face. Then do 2 longer exhales. You're connecting body to model, teaching it to classify without panic. Over time, you'll catch states earlier, like hearing the hum before the fridge rattles. Titrated exposure rebuilds trust. If social stuff spikes you, start with 1 short coffee at a quiet time. If noise wrecks you, sit near a window, not the speaker. If movement hurts, pick the joint that's least cranky and move it through easy ranges, breathing slow. Celebrate. No flare tomorrow, not max weight today. The Tenant upgrades maps with frequent, safe reps, not bravado. Audit your environment. Light, bright days, dim nights, noise, cut pointless alerts, use noise dampening where you work, add pockets of quiet. Social. Schedule real faces, not just chats. Even a standing weekly walk with one friend is a big lever. Digital. Set app timers. Kill infinite scroll before bed. Make your bedroom a low-stem cave. If your living room screams casino, your Vegas hears threat. Stack these as routines, not resolutions. Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Strength. Daily walk after dinner. Mornings, light protein, 5 slow breaths. Evenings, dim stretch, book. Tie each to something that already happens. Coffee, lunch, brushing teeth. So the cue is automatic. You're building rails the autopilot loves to follow. And go slow. 1 or 2 levers a week. Track how you feel, not just steps or calories. If sleep improves and urges quiet down, you're winning. If a habit spikes symptoms, shrink it or swap it. The goal isn't sainthood. It's a nervous system that trusts you enough to stop grabbing the wheel, reading the dashboard, metrics and feedback. Let's make the invisible visible. You don't need a lab. You need a few dials you can actually read and change. Think of this like checking your car's gauge instead of guessing from the engine noise, because vibe-based maintenance is how you end up on the shoulder calling your nervous system AAA. Start with HRV, heart rate variability. It's the tiny wobble between heartbeats, not the beats per minute. More variability at rest usually means your vagus has good leverage and you can shift gears. Less usually means you're stuck in one gear. Don't obsess over a single number. Watch the trend over weeks. If 3 late nights and 2 snack-heavy days push HRV down, cool. You just learned your system's priceless. If a week of morning light and steady walks brings it up, great, you found a lever. Resting heart rate is next. Lower at baseline within your normal range often tracks better recovery and calmer tone. Again, trend beats trophy. If your RHR pops 5 beats higher for 3 mornings, something taxed you, sleep, stress, a bug incoming. Don't panic. Downshift your day. More slow breath, earlier night, easier training. It's like hearing the fridge hum louder and choosing not to bake lasagna for 20. Sleep metrics help if you don't let them boss you around. Total sleep time and consistency matter most. Sleep stages from wearables are rough guesses, so treat them like weather forecasts, not court orders. If your device says you slept poor but you feel okay, go with your body. If it keeps flagging short sleep and you feel foggy, fix inputs. Darker room, cooler temp, earlier dimming, morning light. Also, stop doom scrolling sleep scores at 6 a.m. That's like reading Yelp reviews of your pillow. Temperature and respiration trends are sneaky good. A slight rise in overnight skin temperature or a bump in sleep and breath rate can signal your system working. Illness brewing, heavy training load, hormone shifts. Pair that with how you feel. If you're warm, HRV dipped, and you're cranky, call it. Today is a lower gear day. The Tenant respects honesty more than bravado. Glucose curves tell you how the selfish brain-fueled tug-of-war is going. You don't need a continuous glucose monitor to learn. Try a simple log for a week. What you ate, when, how you felt 2 hours later. If pastry solo makes you spacey and then snack hungry, that's a steep spike and crash. Put protein and fiber first next time, then starch. Recheck the feeling. You're not being good. You're flattening a roller coaster your tenant hates riding. Mood and energy journaling is the cheapest biofeedback on earth. 1 sentence, twice a day. Energy 1 to 5, mood 1 to 5. Notes on sleep, light, food, movement, and people. Patterns pop fast. Every time I skip the post-dinner walk, I stare at the ceiling at 1 a.m. Or calls with kind friend equals calmer afternoon. That's data. The autopilot loves predictable wins. You just mapped some. Breath tests can flag CO2 tolerance, which ties to panic and air hunger. A simple bolt-like check. After a normal exhale, hold until the first clear urge to breathe, then resume normal breathing. Record seconds, don't force. Over weeks, gentle CO2-friendly drills, slow nasal breathing, longer exhales tend to raise that number and lower panic spikes. If you have respiratory or cardiac issues, skip holds. Use cadence breathing only. Here's the rule that keeps you sane. Change one lever, watch two signals. For example, add morning light for 10 minutes daily. Track HRV trend and afternoon cravings for 2 weeks. Or front-load protein at breakfast and track energy at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. Don't stack 5 new things and then guess which worked. That's like changing tires, oil, and the driver, and then arguing with the GPS. Also, set floors and ceilings. Floor, minimums you hit even on chaos days. 2 minutes of slow exhale, 5 minutes outside, protein in first meal. Guardrails that stop you from optimizing into burnout. No caffeine after 12 o'clock, screens off an hour before bed, no PR workouts 2 days in a row. Floors keep you afloat, ceilings keep you from chasing dragons. Finally, keep the spirit of tinkering. You're not grading yourself. You're teaching a skittish autopilot that the route is safe. When a metric dips, that's not failure, it's feedback. Adjust, don't judge. And remember, the goal isn't a perfect dashboard. It's a nervous system that trusts your patterns enough to stop yanking the wheel. Debates, limits, and red flags. Let's be real. Some of this is settled enough to be useful, and some is still being argued in lab group chats. So here's the map of what's solid, what's squishy, and when to call a pro instead of another biohack. Because DIY neurology sounds cool until it doesn't. Polyvagal theory first. The everyday takeaway. Safe cues support calm digestion and social focus. Threat cues tilt us defensive. Tracks with lived experience and basic physiology. The debate lives in the wiring diagram and claims about distinct dorsal versus ventral pathways doing tidy, discrete jobs. Anatomy is messy. Multiple brainstem nuclei and feedback loops. Share the work. So use the lens for behavior and state language if it helps you, but don't treat it like gospel. It's a helpful map, not a satellite photo. Now the free will panic, those readiness potentials people cite from 198's lab studies. Yes, small electrical changes can show up before you report deciding to move a finger. But newer work shows timing shifts with context, and your brain can veto or redirect the move right before it happens. Agency looks layered, preparation under the hood, conscious shaping and stopping on top, all trained by experience. Translation, you're not a passenger, you're a pilot in a busy cockpit. If a headline says science proves you don't exist, close the tab and go for a walk. Cold exposure and fasting, great tools for some, potholes for others. Cold can spike vagal tone and mood in healthy folks, but it's a stressor. Skip or modify if you have heart disease, uncontrolled high blood pressure, arrhythmias, Raynaud's, are pregnant, or you just hate cold so much it jacks your stress. Fasting can improve glucose control and appetite cues when done sanely. But it's risky if you have a history of eating disorders, are pregnant, have certain endocrine issues, or you turn hangry into hazards. The rule: start low, go slow, and stop if your sleep, mood, or cycle goes sideways. Health isn't a toughness contest. Placebo and nocebo aren't fake. They're nervous system effects. Expecting benefit can recruit real analgesia and calmer autonomic tone. Expecting harm can raise pain and panic through the same pathways. That's not mind over matter. That's top-down prediction changing bottom-up sensation. So frame experiments as, let's see if this helps, instead of, if this fails, I'm broken. Because your tenant listens to your headlines. Where this stops being a podcast and becomes medicine. Trauma that won't let up, flashbacks, fainting or near fainting on standing, chest pain, palpitations, suspected POTS, severe anxiety or depression, suicidality, eating disorders, sleep apnea signs, autoimmune flares, new neurological symptoms. Get a clinician. Sometimes you need iron, thyroid care, a beta blocker, sleep studies, trauma therapy or treatment for infection. You can't slow exhale your way through an oxygen desaturation, no joke. Limits of metrics too. HRV is a great trend tool, But devices vary. Alcohol trashes it, and obsessing over one morning score can itself tank your day. Sleep stage readouts are estimates. Don't let a bad score ruin an okay morning. CGMs can teach you a lot, but they can also breed food anxiety. Use numbers to guide, not grade. If a metric makes you more rigid and less well, that's a red flag. Uncertainty zones? Microbiome to mood specifics are early stage. Avoid magic bug talk. Vagal devices and closed-loop feedback look promising, but results are mixed across conditions. This field is young. Neuroinflammation explains some stuff, not all stuff. It's not a universal solvent, and hacking dopamine with extreme detoxes often backfires. Gentle reshaping of cues and timing works better than monk mode with a side of shame. Synthesis time. The autonomy of your nervous system is high. Energy first rules, fast reflexes, prediction-driven perception, real wiring between state and symptoms. But influence is real too. Inputs change states. States change choices. Choices, repeated, change defaults. So the job isn't to conquer the tenant, it's to co-manage the house. Respect the lines, push the levers you tolerate, and outsource the pros when the dashboard flashes red. Next, we take that mindset and flip the story. From victim of a parasite to partner with an autopilot. The reframe, you're not the parasite's victim, you're its partner. So here's the flip. You're not a hostage in your own body. You're a pilot sharing a cockpit with a very jumpy autopilot. The autopilot wants one thing: keep the system online. Your job is to feed it the kind of signals that make it trust you. Then you both win more days. Think safety first, then challenge, then rest. That's the new contract. Safety first looks boring on purpose. Morning light for 10 minutes because clocks calm the whole crew. Slow breathing with longer exhales, 2 to 5 minutes 2 times a day, because it gives your vagus a real handle. Protein and fiber early because the selfish brain fuel war cools down when breakfast isn't a candy audition. Friendly voices, real faces. Calmer baselines make better choices cheap. Then challenge, but dose it. Move most days. Easy base with sprinkles of hard. Lift something twice a week. Short, clean stressors with clean exits. Cold splash, hill repeat, focus work sprint. So the system learns on, then off instead of always on. When you're deep in a state, use acute resets to pry a door open. Posture tall, longer exhale, sunlight, tiny walk, and only then nudge the challenge. Sequence matters. You don't power clean while your smoke alarm's blaring. Rest is not collapse. It's repair on purpose. Dim nights, cool room, small wind down ritual, screens warm, overheads off. If you wake, slow breathe instead of scroll. Off days from intensity, not from movement. Walk, stretch, nap. The autopilot can't trust you if recovery is an accident. Identity-wise, you're pilot plus autopilot. On good days, you steer it trims. On hard days, it grabs the yoke. You set conditions so it lets go sooner. That's not weakness. That's systems thinking. The skill stack is simple and stubborn. Breathe slow with longer exhales. Get light early. Eat food that doesn't whipsaw glucose. Move your body. Connect with people. Sleep in the dark. Stack them until they feel like brushing teeth. Buffers are your margin. You build them on calm days so chaos days don't break you. Sleep credit in the bank, a few freezer meals that aren't neon, a default walk loop, a friend you can text coffee without a speech. Digital buffers too. Notifications off by default, apps corralled, a rule that the bed is not a casino. Every buffer is one less open tab in your head. And yeah, tools are coming. Vagus nerve devices, closed-loop wearables that coach breath and light, software that blocks variable reward schedules by design. Great, use them if they help. But don't outsource basics to gadgets. Tech should teach you the feel of the state, not become another slot machine. Here's the quiet promise. The Tenant listens. It's metabolically selfish, reflex fast, and prediction driven, but it updates when the world gets consistent. 2 weeks of light, breath, food, and movement, and your alerts get less shouty. 2 months and cravings fade, sleep smooth, and I can start shows up more often. That's not willpower. That's rewiring through inputs. When the world spikes you, remember the clutch. Long exhale is the clutch. Posture is the clutch. A friendly voice is the clutch. Use it, then shift. You're not dodging life. You're shifting better. And when red flags pop, fainting, chest pain, flashbacks, spirals you can't slow, bring in pros. Co-pilots help. Therapy that respects body states. Medical care that fixes oxygen and iron. Pacing that fits your day. Those aren't hacks. They're guardrails. Strong pilots use them. Final piece. Meaning. You can negotiate with a survival machine all day, but it runs best when there's a reason to run. Aim at something you care about. Skills, people, place, service. Give the dopamine system real wins to mark. Progress pings louder than snacks when the goal matters. Ignore the Tenant and it runs you. Learn its language and it carries you. That's the reframe. Partner with the autopilot. Build safety, dose challenge, protect rest. Then point the plane somewhere you actually want to go. One last thing. Your nervous system isn't out to get you. It's out to stay on. It taxes you when inputs are chaos. It guards you when threats blur. It overreacts when the lab looks like Vegas, but it listens when signals are steady. So try one lever this week. 10 minutes of morning light, or slow breaths with longer exhales before lunch, or protein first at breakfast, then tell me what shifted in 2 weeks. Subscribe for more clear, no-fluff tools. Share this with someone who needs a new contract with their body, and drop the lever you'll try in the comments. Next up, what if hunger isn't yours either?